Hey everyone.
Hey.
So welcome to the UK and a Peel P50 Q&A. So in my last video I said if you've got any questions for either me or Jolie about this trip and everything that we've been doing, then put it in the comment section below. So this is our response. So I've got the questions written down on my laptop here and we will go through them and answer them as best we can.
Amazing.
So the first one is from Peter Sinclair and he has put, how many miles on a full tank? So I assume you mean the Peel P50. Yeah. So the Peel P50 has a 5-litre petrol tank, and as I've mentioned in many of the videos, it's 72 cc's. And generally we will manage up to 100 miles on a tank. Now the thing is, the Peel P50, one thing to take into consideration is it's a really unusual vehicle. So the wheels are so tiny, the road conditions will really determine your miles per gallon. So whether you're going up hills and things or stuck in traffic, but we have definitely managed sometimes over 100 miles on 5 litres of fuel, which is...
it's been quite flat at the moment. Scotland was quite hilly, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the fuel has gone further since we've been kind of in the Midlands and South, so...
Definitely.
Yeah. Keeping it simple, a long-standing fan of my channel, thank you, has put, this is a question for you, Jolie. What has been the most unexpected / surprising place that we have visited so far?
Unexpected, surprising. Oh man, so much really, but do you know what to date? As in, so it would have been Blackpool Tower. It changes all the time, so it would have been Knockhill, then it would have been Blackpool.
What about like locations rather than
unexpected?
You know, like some of the scenery. There's a lot of things in between the camera that we did, like scenery.
Do you know what it might have been aside from all the kind of camera, you know, filmed bits? I like that little place that we met a guy called Max, and he took us...
Is it Lake District?
Yeah, in the Lake District. He took us off the beaten track to a little car park, just like nice and remote, away from everything. And it was so... Yeah, we were like, oh, we're still in the Lake District, and we just parked there for the night and chilled.
He was such a lovely guy.
If
you're watching, Max, we miss you.
Hey, Max!
And the back of his van was all fitted out, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was
beautiful. Lovely. It was all. He's quite a woodman, you know, like.
A woodman.
Well, no,
Woodsman.
Woodsman. Yeah, he loves sort of carpentry and stuff, and he did really good work in the back.
I'd agree with that.
So yeah, just to be different, I guess.
So we've got, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce this one, Elhier. Elfia? Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm not very good at pronouncing names, it's a dyslexia thing, but your question is, what are the average miles each day per journey, and how much fuel has been used in 1,000 miles? Now that's a really good question. So, first of all, how many miles per day really varies on what kind of day. So if we're just trying to get to a location, sometimes it can be up to 100 miles. So for example, today, we actually drove from Weston-super-Mare to Bewley, which was just shy of 100 miles.
Wow, and it didn't feel it, you know.
No, it wasn't.
We stopped every sort of 30 miles.
Yeah, we're kind of like 30 miles or so stop.
Yeah.
I warm up in here, have a cup of tea. You quite often make a hot water bottle, maybe a few snacks and things. As for how much fuel has the Peel P50 used in 1,000 miles, I should have kept track of this better, but there's only, I mean, I've probably filled up, if you were to make an average, we do 100 miles on 5 litres of fuel, that's about £6 or £7 worth. So if you can do the mathematics there, basically the one big advantage to driving the Peel P50 long distance is the fuel costs. It's so incredibly cheap. So economic.
You probably count on one hand the amount of times you filled up.
Yeah, and also
I'm there every day, more or less.
Just so little as well.
Yeah,
you know, it's so when I fill up and you look at the thing and it just says like £3 or £4, you're like,
no.
Wow, I wish all my cars were like that.
I filled up your little petrol tank the other day and it was £8.50. That was like to the brim.
Absolutely. So next we've got Andrew Roper. So we've got 2 questions here. Do you feel unsafe on busy roads? it really depends kind of where we are. So sometimes we get dual carriageways, and that's actually a scenario I kind of prefer, because a dual carriageway people can just pass.
Very true, yeah.
But a lot of roads that I've been on...
It's an advantage.
Yeah, a lot of roads I've been on where it's a busy road and it's not a dual carriageway. If I pull over, the traffic backs up for miles, and it's ages before I can get back on the road. And I generally haven't felt unsafe because the Peel P50 is so narrow. It's a bit like when I'm riding my old motorbike that's quite slow. People can overtake me quite easily and safely, and out of the thousands of people that have overtaken me, there's only really been 2 occasions where people have done it where they really shouldn't have done, like towards oncoming traffic, and it was a bit... Though I must admit, some of the really big juggernauts that have overtaken me, particularly in Scotland, like the really big articulated lorries, sometimes that are towing 2, when they go past, they will suck the Peel P50 sideways, and you have to counter steer it.
Oh my God.
And if they're doing 50 and I'm on really bad roads, you'll hear about this later on with a question about road conditions and speed, and I'm doing a mere 23 miles an hour. When they go at 50, something that is basically the size of a house going against something that's the size of a wheelie bin, the suction, that is scary. But I mean, after 1,000 miles, I've kind of gotten used to it.
Do you know, even in the van, I find I get a bit sucked when a lorry goes past me.
And you've got 4 wheels.
Yeah, and it's big. I mean, what must you be like? That's crazy.
The other question from Andrew is, what's the most beautiful place that we visited so far? So I think we could both answer that. So would you like to go first? What's the most beautiful place?
Oh, but there's so many.
Yeah, hard to pick from.
Really? Wow. Do you know what probably took my breath away? Was Scotland. I can't remember which areas, but certain areas on the way up. Oh, do you know, you'd get over a little... I mean, I've never been north of Dumfries. So when you get past like Inverness, yeah, it's just breathtaking.
It was. Scotland was beautiful. Particularly at the start near John O'Groats. Yeah, that was like all the cliffs and things.
The Lake District was beautiful as well.
So that was going to be my answer. Was before the Lake District, so it's 9 o'clock.
This is Jacques Cousteau.
We're cuckoo clock. So when before we got to Lake Windermere, we were going through like really mountainous areas, and it was really beautiful. And I remember thinking that was probably some of the most stunning scenery, because a lot of the driving I've done has been at night, and because it gets, particularly in Scotland, got dark quite early, and we're doing this in November, so there's only a kind of small snippet where I actually really got to see a lot of the scenery. I think I missed quite a lot because I was driving in the dark, but that part of the Lake District with all the kind of mountains and things, and
just the sun was setting.
Beautiful. So thank you, Andrew. So next we've got Gary Edwards. Fuel and speed statistics for both the P50 and the van. So we kind of covered the P50. It does basically 100 miles to the gallon, give or take, depending on road conditions. But what about this camper van?
What about it?
What kind of speed do you do, and also what kind of fuel consumption?
Well, the fuel depends whether you're stopping, starting, whether you keep a constant speed. I often pull in at places because...
Okay, so the camera lost some memory there, but you were basically saying that obviously depending on like the road conditions and driving, but would you say I mean I predict that this 1988 camper is pretty heavy.
Yeah, I mean average 45. I know it sounds
miles an hour,
but it's better fuel consumption.
Much better. Yeah, when we drove up to Scotland and we had the Peel in the back where we're sitting now.
Yeah.
When we were doing 45, the fuel economy was incredible, because
45's good.
with a vehicle like this, it drastically varies. So you could be doing, I predict, around like 18 to 20 miles to the gallon around town and stuff. But when you get out on the motorway and you just drive all day, I don't know, it really goes up to like 40 maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I'd say
we were like, at one point, we're like, is the fuel gauge actually broken? And then we got into town, so it was like, go. So.
But do you know what? It's I find as well, going at a slower speed, especially at night, because the lights are really bad. They're really dim. But I just find, you know, you can react to things better, you can see things.
Yeah, enjoy the scenery. So the other question from Gary was, would I do this again in an electric Peel? And the answer is yes, absolutely I would. So if I had the choice, because you know the Peel P50 and the Peel Trident are the kind of two cars that Peel were known for, and Peel Trident featured in the video when we were at the Lakeland Museum.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
So if I could choose between an electric P50 and an electric Trident, I would choose the Trident because I've already done it in a P50, but of course if I was to do it in an electric Peel P50,
yeah,
it would be a totally different experience. And of course, you know, you've got the issue with the range, you know, and all of that with the electric. So there'd be a whole different element of challenge right there. Like, do we swap batteries and we have them in a relay of like an onboard generator in a camper, or do I have to drive and charge it up and wait? You know, I would be really interested.
You'd need it on board, wouldn't you?
Well, on board a different vehicle.
No.
You wouldn't fit a generator on a Peel P50.
No, I mean in here.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, we got a question from Crashbox. I assume you mean like a crash gearbox, which is cool. Would I consider doing it in something like an Austin 7? He saw my T-shirt that had the Austin 7 on it, and a little side note that he is planning on doing it in his 1932 Morris Minor. So that's an earlier model. That's not the Morris Minor I have. It's a it looks like an Austin 7. They're beautiful cars. The answer is yeah. I'm always up for big road challenges in old cars. As you've seen in the video, I'm a huge fan of the Austin 7. And he did mention that the Austin 7 Club were thinking about doing a huge gathering of John O'Groats to Land's End, or possibly the other way around, with Austin 7 Club to kind of mark the 90th anniversary of the car. If I have an Austin 7 by then, count me in, let me know. So we got a question from Matt Salisbury. Does Jolie ever stop smiling? Nope.
Yes.
You spend more time smiling than not.
Oh, lovely. Well, you know, I don't know, I don't really think about it. Life's better with a smile, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's it. We got Kima Customs, and they were only there. Kima Customs.
Kima's near you.
It is, and they were only at the Clarkson's Diddley Squat Farm Shop about 2 days after us. So it's a shame we didn't see you guys there. That would have been really nice.
What a shame.
Will I drive the Peel P50 back to Sussex after we have got to Land's End? No.
Good question.
No way.
No way.
No way, no.
Well,
it's going to go
quite long, wouldn't
providing Jolie hasn't abandoned me. It's going to go in the back of the camper, and then I can stretch out and, you know, be going, you know,
It's a hell of a distance.
Yeah, and I can stretch out. They've got a heater in here and stuff. I love the Peel P50, don't get me wrong, but we're in Bewley at the moment, so we're near the Isle of Wight, and we've done over 1,000. We're actually at 1,200 miles now, and we've still got to go to the West Country, so it's a long way off yet. So I think once I get to Land's End, it's like, okay, I need a bit of a break from the Peel P50 now. So
the van is actually coming up to 2,000 miles
collectively since we left Sussex. Yeah.
So
we got Haggis Tours. This is not a question. This is a statement. The QR code, which is in the windows, has been scanned more than 100 times since we left Inverness.
How lovely.
So, Keith, thank you so much for doing that for us. Of course, with the QR code, Keith, we have been able to raise so much money, so much more.
If it hadn't been for Keith printing those QR codes,
if I'm not standing there telling people what we're doing, I notice, like, if we're in a cafe or something, the Peel is parked outside, people scan the code, look and go, oh wow, that's what they're doing, and they donate.
Age, isn't it? Like, it's a modern feature to have. Like, obviously you get some people who give like us cash, or oldies maybe who are more cash.
Oldies.
But so, it's good to have. It's such a help.
The next one is also a statement from my friend Jude, which is, I'm going to do it in her voice. You're allowed to have a day off, you know.
Oh, Jude, is this Jude?
Jude, yeah. So basically, yeah. So I imagine you put that comment on the video where we're basically suffering in the snow, and I'm like, I'm really struggling, and that really was tough. Prior to that episode, though, we were in the Midlands for several days because we filmed at Warwick Castle, the bus museum, and we took a day off. So there was one day on this entire trip where the Peel didn't get started, nor did the camper. We chilled out because I was really feeling it, particularly in the knees and things. So prior to that episode, we did actually have a day off, which was so luxurious. We stayed at our friend Mark's house, and I basically just lay laid on the sofa for the whole day, which was great. And it was warm, they had heating.
I know, but yeah, it's all part of it, isn't it?
So the last question is from Forrest Maraki, I think that's how you say your name.
Do you know what, my
Maraki?
I can't even read.
Apologies
this.
if I've pronounced it wrong. What's the top speed of that cute little thing? So it's interesting you say that, and I'm glad this is the question to end this on, because I have misquoted the speed of the Peel P50 to so many newspapers and radio stations, depending on what road conditions they were, and I didn't realise it's not a mechanical thing, it's a road condition thing. So I basically, at the start of the trip, the roads in Scotland are really rough and bumpy. And I was basically never going much more than 23 miles an hour. So all the Scottish reports say top speed of 23 miles an hour. And then I got into, when we got into like England, there was areas where I was getting to 30 and I was like, ooh, how come I'm doing 30? And the car is not shaking itself to bits. It's not screaming. And then you hit a road that's bumpy and it's like straight back to 23. But this is something, I'm really glad that we're doing this Q&A now, because this evening I had the most remarkable experience. Driving from Weston-super-Mare to Bewley was some of the best road conditions that I've experienced on this journey. So much so they reminded me of the racetrack in Fife.
Yeah.
And Jolie couldn't keep up with me.
I know.
I got to, brace yourself, I got the Peel P50 quite comfortably to 46 miles per hour. Just shy, I nearly got it. A Peel P50, nearly 50 miles an hour. It's unheard of. And the engine was not screaming its nuts off. It was...
Although, what happened?
Well, hang on, yeah, okay, I'll get to that. But it was going along, straight line, it handled beautifully. And it's weird, if you go like 35, it starts to vibrate and go, and then when you go faster, it smooths out. And it was so happy. 46, because I thought, cool, this feels fast.
Yeah, I bet.
And the sat-nav has a speedo on it, which is more accurate. And it said 46, and I was like, what? 46? No way! And then I thought, oh my god, I'm going fast in this. Now, I think something, Jolie has brought it up, the exhaust pipe, I need to check it tomorrow. I think maybe on the manifold where it joins the cylinder, maybe it's come loose because it seems to have dropped a little bit. And it's touching the bodywork, the kind of curved bit of fiberglass that goes underneath.
Yeah.
And I pulled into a petrol station and I went to pull up. This is like, what, an hour ago maybe? And I could smell burning plastic. I could smell burning plastic. And the exhaust pipe, where it's touching the fiberglass housing, was smouldering. So it nearly caught fire. So I'm in a petrol station with a car on fire, nearly. So I patted it.
Surprised they let you in.
Well, they didn't know, did they? I patted it and then I got a damp cloth and I dabbed it. There's no fire. It wasn't actually fire, it was just smouldering, like it probably melting the fiberglass. And I waited till it cooled off, then I filled up. And it's been fine since, but I did notice when we were doing the DeLorean episode, because I took that panel off to check the oil and the chain and everything, and I noticed that it had been burning the fiberglass there. So that's something tomorrow need to properly have a look at that.
Have a check on it. It's strange you say that, because obviously the roads up in Scotland, they were pretty rough, and you know, coming down here the A36, it was so smooth. I mean,
crazy.
Honestly, I had your location and I could see you ahead of me, and I thought,
how's he doing that?
how the hell is he? I was doing 40
and I was doing more than 40. So to answer your question for us shortly, the top speed of the car depends drastically on the road conditions. You could be doing 20 miles an hour, you could be doing 46 miles an hour, you could even be doing 15 miles an hour. It really depends. So yeah. But anyway, to everyone that has been following us on this journey, thank you so much for staying with us and enjoying this trip. When we've met people that have been following the channel, they kind of like, it's like we've been with you on the journey and they know us, and it's just really nice. So
it's a lovely feeling.
Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode, and hopefully we'll be at Land's End within a week or so.
Hopefully. We shall see.